All right. You're very welcome, Cecilia. I'm gonna go ahead and record this. As soon as it's done processing the recording, I only you, Tyler. Only you can't. Everybody else has free speech. I'm just kidding. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and record this, and as soon as it's done processing, I'll go ahead and upload it as soon as possible, okay? It should be available either later this evening or if not, first thing tomorrow morning, just as a heads up, okay? Now everybody can hear me good, clear. There's no issues, no distance mic situation. Cool, cool, cool. All good in the cyberhood. There you go. All right. Beautiful. All right. So, secure messaging. Here are the goals that we're going to be working on or focusing on here in this Module 11 lab, right? We're trying to establish a secure messaging service for yourself and your colleagues, and ensuring confidential communication without the risk of compromise, as well as document and report all security measures effectively to leadership, fostering success in your role. So why does it have to be important? So what if, your system gets compromised, right? Somebody hacks the server for your phone system because a lot of phone systems nowadays operate off of a network connection or even just off of a piggybacking off of network. So if they hack that, therefore you lose access to a possible chance of security and all your information can be stolen. It could be just recorded and then therefore used against you for the company or worse, right? And I've only seen it happen once, but luckily the server itself was one of those like what's it called? The like legacy software servers. So we didn't have to worry too much. We could just erase everything at the touch of a button and nothing would have happened. So it was pretty cool. So let's go into the introduction real quick. So obviously, you guys are tasked to facilitate the discussions in the upcoming projects, right? Exchanging status updates containing, specific sensitive data, information about clients, and any type of obstacles. During the daily status update conversation, you observe that new external users have joined the conversation, sending distracting and disturbing messages in the chat. So kind of like how most people during the days of COVID had their Zoom classes compromised and had people randomly jump in and either do obscene things in Zoom. We've seen those and we've seen the reports for it, and it's quite disturbing, sad even, but still disturbing. And this is kind of the same process almost, if anything, in the similarity, right? So your team is eager to address the intrusion, and they're promptly reporting the issue to your director. Or yeah, I mean, yeah, that too. When the students hack the Zoom cams too, changing their video feed or filter to be like a potato, and then they couldn't change it back. And I think there was once where a principal did that or a teacher did that, and they couldn't change it. They didn't know how. So then they ended up teaching the entire class lesson for the day, or I think for the whole year, as a potato through a remote Zoom. But besides the point, right? So the team is eager to address the intrusion. They are promptly reporting the issue to your director, and as the lead, but however, the facilitator is saying that it's your responsibility to regain the control of the chat and secure its safety, basically for the internal communications and moving forward and as swiftly as possible, right? So as you can see right here, this is the kind of representation of the incident, right? So you have your internet here, your internet connection. Fire, maybe like a firewall that needs better security, or even just a secondary firewall after the server. I don't know. It just depends. But as you can see right here, the threat actor is compromising the server itself by accessing it, and therefore is able to create, generic users either within that same network or remote access. Right? So first things first, before we continue this, we need to resolve the scenario. Before we resolve this scenario, it's crucial to acknowledge that such situations can and do occur in real life, right? So acting swiftly is imperative, but maintaining composure and focusing on solutions and effectively communicating with leadership are even more crucial. So as long as you're providing constant updates and communicating with your upper managements or even your team leads, as you guys already probably do within Amazon and your FCs and all that, I mean, that's typically what it is. Now, mind you, I've already seen the conversations that you guys had in live chat about how some people are, and I will leave it at that. I kind of know how that feels. Right? So by promptly notifying management, you've already taken the correct initial step, right? It's always going to be the best first step, best foot forward. Now it's time to formulate the proper response, right? So we're acknowledging the situation by providing the security incidents that happen and such, and responding to them quickly and effectively, communicating with your leadership, which you've already done so, right? You've acknowledged it. Now you're communicating with your team leads, and you're providing that crucial first step. And now it's time to formulate the proper response and how to respond to that in order to ensure that there's proper security measures that are taken and preventing it for future references, right? So this is what Malik was saying. It's situational awareness in cybersecurity, right? It's in order to ensure that you're thinking alertly. You're ensuring that you're going to create that action plan if something like this were to happen in your instance, in your feeds and whatnot, right? So here's the objective, right? We need to secure the chat, right? Here's the action. We need to regain control of your chat by removing the members who have gained unauthorized access. So we review the existing chat restrictions and settings. And the restricting access is by permissions only to the team members. So once enabled, only team members have listed with that you have listed will have access to the chat. So think of it like within like our Zoom chats right now, right? We have everybody that has signed up for the Cyber 3 course, and we have people who are outside of the Cyber 3 course that join in all of a sudden have access. How do we lock it down to prevent people or other situations like that to happen ever again, right? Why is it so important to restrict that chat and restrict the access for the chat as well as, detecting that intrusion? What do we need to do? And why is it so important? What do you guys think? Yes, of course. Valuable information will always be at risk.
Not sure if this will work. I'm just curious. Can you do a forced log out of everybody? Because I've had that happen before.
So with Zoom, you could if you're like on an enterprise level, but it would depend on how much of the controls you have. I haven't seen it happen before in Zoom, only because most of the time it's just permissions, permission-based security groups within Active Directory and such. So it varies. It varies, and then I think it depends too on the specific software. So I'm using like again, I used Zoom as an example only because we've seen it happen before, right?
Makes sense, but still, just to
Yeah,
answer the
yeah,
question, why is
yeah.
it important? I would say just to prevent whatever issues are happening from spreading.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's actually a really good example, Derek. I think that you're correct though. Like doing the force log out for everyone, right? That would cause a better mitigation of prevention, and therefore you would have to then just associate the user accounts that are logging in and accessing the chats and such that you could do that. So that's actually good. Filippo says to prevent unauthorized users from accessing sensitive info and to maintain the security and integrity of internal communications. That's very good. Yes, that's why it's so important to restrict the chat access exactly at that point. Anyone else, feel free to come off mute, throw it in the chat. Remember, there's no right or wrong answers. We're all learning here together, all right? All right, no worries. Let's see. Oh, my mouse switched over to my other desktop. There we go. All right. So the way I would have answered this is that it's important to restrict it so that way nobody else has access to it and prevent it for future attacks or possible intrusions from people who either are not part of the department, not part of the company, or even just people who are in a sense hacking for just the sake of fun, right? Or attempting to access companies just for I guess you could call it just like spies trying to find information and use it against them for future reference, right? So preventing it will cause, restricting the chat and preventing it basically prevents any possible information as mentioned by Sabri, right? And also it keeps the internal parts of the company secure and nobody loses either their job or even gets demoted or just basically like, those two. just either loses the job or gets, information leaked, specifically like personal information or information about the company, right? All right. So we have our first multiple choice question, right? What should you review first to secure your chat? Cat themes and emojis, chat restriction settings, the latest memes shared. Okay, okay. Chat restriction settings. What else? Memes. The memes are always going to be important. Yeah. Very nice, very nice. Ooh, Jordan, Jordan. The latest memes? Or is it shuffled for most of you for your answers, by the way? I forgot to ask that because I know I've seen that before. Some people have their answers mixed up and whatnot.
Yours matches mine.
Okay. Anyone else? Does everybody else have them mixed up? They all match. Memes are always the answer. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. Um, Not bad, not bad. Yeah, but I would say you guys are correct. It would be chat restrictions. What do you meme? Exactly. But you guys are correct. It would be chat restrictions because we want to make sure that we are preventing that, right? We're ensuring that nobody else has access to the chats. Kind of like how earlier nobody had access to the chat for everyone, but only directly to me, right? That's prime example. All right. Close that out. I'm gonna move on to the next one, right? I didn't skip anything. Okay, cool. Just making sure. I like that game too, Derek. I get frustrated when I can't figure out the proper card. They're all too good. They're always too good. All right. So session hijacking and exploitation of existing vulnerabilities, right? So right now we have the threat actor kicked out, right? It's time to start troubleshooting. We have to secure all endpoints and the network connections and as well as anything else that may have happened within the network itself and prevent any type of intrusions for future reference, right? So there's several ways the chat could have been compromised. And it is your job to ensure that you protect your environment against the following. So the exploitation of existing vulnerabilities, which can stem from outdated endpoints, the server misconfigurations, unpatched vulnerabilities, those pesky updates that we push and push and say, oh, I don't want to do it today. I don't want to do it today. I don't want to do it today. I'll just do it over the weekend, right? Or even just end user behavior, such as clicking on malicious content within phishing links, right? Or phishing emails, right? So all those pesky phishing emails and such. Session hijacking, right, which involves taking over a specific web user session by obtaining their session ID and posing as an authorized user. So similar to what Malik said that how he had accessed that website by using their careers page, almost I want to say almost the same, but he created malicious code that he uploaded with a resume. So that's even more wild, right? Backdoor attacks, which provides unauthorized access to the computer system or even encrypted data by bypassing security mechanisms. Wow, I cannot English today, right? So developers have to create developers may create backdoors for accessing applications and OSs, right? Or even specifically data. I swear, me and Malik were both having some trouble, word vomiting and whatnot, right? You also have some spoofing, right? With IP spoofing refers to the recreation of the IP or internal protocol packets with a false source IP address to impersonate other computer systems. You see these mainly within, like, say, some coffee shops that they have, I think the Wi-Fi pineapples, sometimes even just using like the Flipper Zeros. I know with Flipper Zeros, you want a reminder of what a backdoor attack is? Uh, if there's any way that I can provide it as an example, like, uh, I mean, any type of backdoor from a 0 day to just, a failed update that nobody did, and that's like the WannaCry, if there's an SMB port open or even just a port that's open in general that you use as a backdoor, right? And you install specific software either through a malicious code link, a phishing email or such, that can create a backdoor. Or even the one that we did with the Metasploit attack, where we created a somewhat of a backdoor, script by sending the user a image to click on or to download, which is an exe program to just launch, right? We did that. We launched the program, and it let us access that system in a sense remotely via the command or terminal. Does that kind of make sense now? What a backdoor kind of is? Cool. Awesome. 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 But back to spoofing. That's the the wow. The Flipper Zero, right? The ones that it was like super popular as of late, and then it kind of just died out. Those things with the proper tools, you can create your own, network spoofing, and you can create all these fake Wi-Fi's, going around all these places. You either doing it while you're war driving or not. You can, create all these things and therefore have people access the networks and steal on their information. So that's kind of what spoofing will do. Oh boy, these kids are doing something. Sorry, my kids are upstairs by themselves, unsupervised. But then again, they have tablets, they have TVs and video games. So I apologize if I get distracted or look off to the left right here. Well, to my left, your right or something. So you also have your third-party hacking tools. So these are obviously softwares that are accessible externally, or even specific scripts that are designed to exploit system vulnerabilities. A lot of the cyber criminals nowadays often use these tools to automate attacks and compromise security. So anywhere from people who can create these on their own systems and then sell them for either users who are not sure how to access, or even integrate these into software saying, oh look, I am a free Outlook tool that you can use in order to manually mark all 1,500 emails as read, and people download it, right? Do spoofed IPs have to be real? Can you use any IP address? So with spoofing IP addresses, it just randomizes it. It doesn't have to be a specific IP address. So it can be anything from like a 192 to 173 to whatever number is available to that device that can give off any IP address, right? But again, it just depends. It varies. So but yeah, that's what third-party hacking tools are, just external software that people can use, or even scripts that are designed to exploit system vulnerabilities. And a lot of the cyber criminals use them to kind of create those attacks and automate them as the process needs to be. And then you also have your inadvertent exchange of malicious content, which is usually just like graphic images with malicious content, or even just GIFs. And that's how they compromise the system. Similar to how we created the links in the Metasploit attack, that's almost the same thing. And the only difference is that with that, you have to manually create everything, or you can integrate it with an image, a GIF, or whatnot, right? But and again, as it says right here, don't get overwhelmed. There are actions you take that will involve multiple areas, and you will learn how to work through them all. All right. So TLS, here's another one. Implementing TLS or transport layer security, or even the mutual TLS, right? You're ensuring the security in the system itself. It guarantees a specific encryption for the network traffic, and it's also safeguarding your messages that are that has a possible chance for interception or even a specific compromise, right? In order to understand TLS versus MTLS, TLS secures your connection from one side, while MTLS does it from both sides. So TLS is just one team, MTLS is both. That's all you need to kind of like know is there, right? And here's the example. And I'll kind of zoom in a little bit, or let's see if I can zoom in. There we go. Cool. So here is where you have, your connection request from your system over to the server. The server recognizes the connection. It sends a response, says, oh, look, I got your connection. Sweet. All right, let me get, this information and confirm all the other information that I need in order to confirm that it's really me and it's really you. And, it does it back and forth until it accesses the application. And right here is where we see that it takes about 272 milliseconds in order to determine that connectivity and provide the information required. All right. Am I going too fast? Are you guys good? Do I need to kind of slow down a little bit? Let me know, okay? Sweet, sweet. Thank you, Filipo. Appreciate that. Cool. Thank you, Derek. All right, cool. All right, so moving forward, right?
Uh, Random question. I'm not sure which one of the things this would fall under. Does it have a name, or is it just a random thing where like I remember we had an issue where people were using old links and being directed to the wrong chats. So like let's say you got a one-off link to a Zoom because you were like a guest lecturer or something.
Mm-hmm.
you still had access even though you should have only had access for one class.
Actually, that's a possibility too. I mean, I had that actually as a fine example. Remember how we changed over from the old Zoom link, having to click it in the live chat where it was like bookmarked up top to like the now one that's in the training site? I was still clicking that old one and it was directing me to the previous one that we had. So I was literally in a meeting by myself. So that does happen. You know, there is frequency in that, and there's also frequency when it happens to where like say you have an interview or you join like one of those events that they have guest speakers and they kind of go over a bunch of material and the meeting invite's still there, and if you click on it and it takes you there. Is that kind of like what you're implying, or kind of like going with that?
No, yeah, that was pretty much it. It was like hypothetically, I joined a Zoom and I accidentally left early. In theory, they should have to send me another invite, but my invite never disappeared, so I was able to join back in
Mm-hmm.
regardless. That's just a made up example. That's not actually what happened, but like because like if that happened, then maybe it's because the class had or the Zoom hadn't ended that I could still get in, but that was just like the example.
No, and that can happen too. Most of the times, if the link doesn't expire or they set it to where it doesn't have a specific time to either expire or delete, it will stay active and you can still access it as need be. Sometimes they don't have it to where you go into the main room, but you just sit in the waiting room of whatever meeting it is, and that can apply both for, I want to say Teams, Zoom. I think I've only seen it maybe once or twice for Google Meets. There's a few, but again, it varies. It just varies. That's all I can say off of that.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate it. All right. So in a TLS handshake, the server will then have a SSL or TLS certificate and a public-private key pair, right? So they kind of work hand in hand in order to ensure that communications and everything else is secure. So your machine does not have these components, and that's how it communicates to the server or to wherever you're connecting to in order to determine, hey, can I have these certificates? Can I store these and ensure that your connectivity is secure just as much as I want mine to be secure? MTLS is essentially the same protocol as TLS and uses the same technologies. So think of MTLS as the extension of TLS, where the two-way verification takes place instead of just one, right? And the identities of both server and client are verified before a connection is established and data is exchanged between the two endpoints. So the session blank involves taking over a web user session by obtaining the session ID. So the session blank Derek's like, I don't even type it. There you go. Nice. Yep. Hijacking. Good job. Good job. Yep. Hijacking. That's what it is. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Moving on to the next one. Ready? All right. So we're going to test our controls, right? So now that we've secured the connection and the chat and we've conducted a vulnerability scan to ensure that everything is secured, now it's time to test the controls. Now you can do this by creating a shell account, which is like a shell Gmail account. So you can do like a fake one or a guest one per se, or even like one of those Proton mails. So I believe those are like pretty easy to create and just a fake one. So you can just delete it later on. I know that there's also websites where you can create email inboxes to just send junk mail to, and it'll automatically delete itself, and you'll never see that junk mail ever again, right? I mean, you can even also use your personal email and attempt to access the chat with that chat link, right? Similar to how Derek was saying, that we have the previous the link, the Zoom link itself to access the Zoom itself, right? So when you are unsuccessful, which is the goal, because that's that you personally, either in that personal account or in that Gmail account that you created, right, should not be able to access or even enter the chat without the link to it. You'll see a notification indicating you do not have access, right? So as part of the discussion question two, what does failing to enter the chat with an external account indicate about your security measures? What does it indicate? So that it's not public Wi-Fi. Mm, so can you explain a little bit, Jordan? Because remember, we're not talking about Wi-Fi. We're talking about accessing the chat itself. So it's like, say you yourself are outside, right? You're outside trying to access a building, but you don't have the proper credentials, even if you've copied it over or somebody slid it under the door for you, right? So yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. Yes, it's not accessible to the public. Others can't have access to the chat. Thank you, Scott. Yep, that's also the same thing too. Perfect. Anyone else?
I was just gonna say that the chat's secured.
Yeah, chat is secured and there's no authorization. Yes, Sabri, good job. And thank you, Derek. Appreciate that. Yes, it indicates that your security measures are effective in restricting unauthorized access. Sorry. Nice, nice, nice. All right, cool, cool, cool. Anyone else? And again, feel free to, like I said, to unmute, tell me in voice. I know most of you are probably working right now, so it's cool. It's not a big deal. For those who can freely speak, please. Yes, Brianna, strong encryption. Yes, that is correct. You have strong encryption. You have blocked the attacker, aka yourself, as a testing phase, right? Because you're testing your controls. Nice. All right. You have the wrong password. I mean, you could. And yes, thank you, Jordan. Okay, cool. That I appreciate that. Yes, I guess a better way to say my answer is access control. Yes, you have better access control, and you are not allowing outside sources, a shell or whatever type of accounts from accessing this Zoom link or accessing the chat or meeting. So nice. Sweet, sweet, sweet. All right. Now on to the bigger portion of it, reporting, right? In the real world, in addition to securing servers and connections, organizations often use VPN, as it says right here, virtual private network, which a lot of people and myself would recommend you use if you're not using, something if you're using something that's less secure and can cause you to be attacked or, piggybacked and such, right? VPN because it adds a added layer of security. However, delving a VPN implementation is a topic for another discussion. So we'll leave that out of there, right? It is also important to document all the steps taken, including a timeline of events with exact timestamps, as well as any lessons learned from this incident, right? So we always want to make sure that when a certain attack happens, whether it's a vulnerability that we got, we want to make sure we document everything that we did. We secured this, we created these kind of controls, we tested it with XYZ accounts, and these are the results that we got when we tested it. You always want to create documentation for it, as well as it says right here, an after action report or an AAR, right? So the report allows management, the people who you already communicated with, to review this incident comprehensively, right? So a complete breakdown and gives them a better chance of giving a informed decision regarding the need for additional controls or even improvements, right? So an example of an AAR can be found here, and you guys can click that link there. I won't do it for the sake of trying to complete the lab, so that way you guys have more time to yourselves. And a template you can leverage when tasked with preparing an AAR can be found at that link there. If you guys want me to, I can. I can click on the link and I'm gonna have to change my Zoom share controls here real quick so that way it shares my web page or web browser instead of just this page itself. All right. So a thorough documentation along with maintaining open communication with leadership is essential in effectively managing and mitigating cybersecurity incidents, right? So, discussion question number 3. So, your team has successfully secured the chat, but now you've been tasked with creating an incident response report. What are the key elements that you would use to include in this report and why? So, remember, what are the key elements that you guys would do in this report? Like, what would you put there? And why is it that you put those key elements into that report? Okay, yeah, timestamps is always a good option too, because you're providing a timeline of when the attack happened, how it was mitigated, how it was prevented. It's kind of difficult to do screenshots only because you have to explain those, right? So screenshots is one, but I mean it depends too on how you're providing the report. Is it like a slideshow? Is it an actual physical report that you're like typing out in Word and like what elements you're providing within there? The screenshots would provide a story, like a screening of a story, but you would have to still explain it, right? Yes, Filippo, good job. Yep, just like they mentioned up above. Not sure what the equivalent of tracking the routes that it takes, but something along those lines. Yes. Uh, the equivalent of tracking the routes. It would mainly be just yeah, kind of like what Sabri just said, Jordan. There you go. See, there's the example. You could always provide that too within one of the key as a key element within the report. You're providing where the attack came from. If you are able to acquire that information with specific tools. So if you acquire where the attack came from and you add that into the report, at least you know, okay, it's outside of the server, it's before the firewall, after the firewall. That can also provide, what location it's at. Who reported and how you learned of the attack. Yes, that's also a key element there. You can add that. Ooh, people, there's a good breakdown. I like that. Yes, the actions taken, the impact assessment, the lessons learned, and recommendations. It's basically exactly what we just went over. So that's actually pretty good. Nice. And more memes. You can never go wrong with not enough memes, There's always more memes you can add. Containment. Uh, so yes, if you have a specific containment evaluation on how you contained the mitigated attack or the vulnerability, then yes, that's actually a good option to include within the report itself. One way you can think about it is thank you, Filippo. Yes, risk assessment too. Yes, I think that kind of falls in line too with timeline, Sabri, only because you're providing the timeline of when the attack happened, the process it took to figure out and mitigate, the necessary tools or security controls to apply or change, and therefore testing it. So you're basically with the timeline itself that you're creating with, the timestamps, that's giving you how much time it looked to contain it. Financial impact could be something that would matter. It just depends on what was impacted. So think of it this way. Depending on how you're creating the report, it matters on how it impacts the business. So if the impact is financial, where those people who, logged into the chat and were able to say, "Oh, I just stole all your data and information," because they see like these reports, like they stayed quiet for like half an hour and you and your team were sharing this fiscal year's, financial information. You have bank records and information there that they can access by routing numbers and bank account numbers, right? Like all that information, then yes, you can include that. But if the impact itself is not if the impact itself is not mitigated towards anything financial, then you don't have to include that. But I mean, are you saying more towards like how much money was spent in order to create the controls, implement them, or, resources used? Is that what you're trying to say? And Derek, yes, you can include credit too, because if you're working with a specific amount of people in your team in order to mitigate security controls, yes, you would give credit when credit is due. Okay, then yeah, you can say that as well. I mean, it just like I said, it varies. It depends. If there is a specific amount of loss of inventory, loss of financial, coverage and etc., or even just, you lost X amount of money because this person, instigated an attack and try to steal information that could have affected us and stakeholders and etc., then yeah, you can basically say that yeah, I mean, there is a financial impact. Yeah.
Matthew, real quick, would you in the report, like, would you only want to state the facts, or would you like put theories in there why you think that it was
So
infiltrated?
do you want my perspective then? Like on how I would create the report then?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure, sure, sure. So like if this was like the incident that I'm dealing with, like the secure chat and everything, it's basically I would document, okay, the attack happened on like July 15th, 2023 at 8:35 a.m. during this meeting. These are the members that were part of the meeting. We saw these additional members. Boom, timestamp number one. We reviewed the logs, the chat logs. We reviewed logins information. We ensured that there were no other instances that were accessed. You basically breaking down everything that I reviewed. And then afterwards, after doing that, hey, I communicated with, let's say, Derek and Tyler. You guys are both like one of the lead managers, and Sabri, you're like the head CEO guy, right? I communicated to Tyler, Derek, and Sabri in a email, right? And this is the information that I provided within the email, ensuring that they were aware of the situation and that we are going to mitigate security controls for future preventative actions, right? So moving forward, then it's like, okay, what controls did I change? And then put a timestamp. I worked on XYZ security tools at, 10 a.m. I did this, this, and this at 10:35. It's just put down the timeline and then ensure that once that's all instigated within the report, then it's going there, boom. Freaking time throwing me off there, but then after you include that into the report, it's just basically saying, okay, I did testing for X time to X time with X accounts because I just wanted to see what the XYZ results were. And then after that was all done, I reported back to Tyler, Derek, and Sabri that these are the results of doing the security controls. There is no more further access, and then provide a conclusion. You provide a conclusion of, hey, these are all the steps that we took. These are the results that we made after we took the steps. This is what's going to happen for future reference. And then that's how you provide that in the report for people to read. And you're providing a breakdown. I hope that helps make sense. I did it kind of like on the fly, something quick and fast. I hope that helps. Tyler already giving me HR vibes here. I need this report yesterday, or people losing jobs. Oh well, let them lose their jobs. That's okay. I didn't turn myself into a potato. I'm fine. All right. I'm gonna move on to the next one. All right. All right. Now we're on to the good questions. Looks like we're on to question number 3. Ambitious explainer. The ones where they're pointing at each other, right? All right. So do you guys want to take a quick break before we answer these next questions? It looks like it's just test your knowledge and conclusion and key takeaways, or you guys want to just knock this out of the park? All right, cool. Tyler already said it. HR said it. All right, full send it is, right? Oh, God, my kids are doing some crazy stuff up there. All right, question number 3. To detect threats in real time, which security measure should be implemented with a messaging platform? I'll give you guys a second to answer. All right, answered a quick phone call. Give you guys a second there. Let's see. We've got IDS for everybody here. Let's see the results. Let's check. Nice. Good job, guys. Guys and gals, sorry. The answers are now ordered differently. All right. Well, as long as you guys are giving me the actual description of it, that's awesome. Hold on one second here. All right. Sorry about that, folks. My son just got a phone call. His mom is calling him on his iPad and he hung up on her. I'm sorry. Gotta love it. Gotta love it when your kids go, "Oh, mom's calling me." Nope, let me hang up real quick. I know I'm gonna sound like an old fogey here. Back in my day, if my mom called me and I hung up on her, I would get my butt whooped. That's for sure. Answer your mom, Sebastian. I'm glad that everybody here. No, he's not playing a game. He's on YouTube Kids right now. Sebastian, answer your mother. Sebas, answer your mother. Your mother's calling you. God, I'm gonna have to cut this out from the video. I'm so sorry, guys. Ah. All right. Question number 4. Good job on answering it. It is intrusion detection systems. Question number 4. To ensure the confidentiality and integrity of your messages, implementing blank, yes, I would be in trouble, is crucial for encrypting data in transit between the client and the server. So question number 4. To ensure the confidentiality and integrity of your messages, implementing what is crucial for encrypting data in transit? Nice, nice, nice. Oh, come on, Derek. You could have typed. Oh my God, you guys at the end. Nice. Great work, guys. Yes, it is. It is TLS. Good job. Good job. Question number 5. A blank attack allows attackers to bypass normal authentication methods to gain unauthorized to prevent unauthorized. Sorry, let me read the question again. A blank attack allows attackers to bypass normal authentication methods to gain unauthorized access to a system, often remaining undetected. Nice, good job. Oh, great work, Michaela. There we go. All right, Scott. Are we doing the little arrow things again, guys? Fucking cat. Jordan with the clutch move there. Awesome. All right. Yep, that is correct. Backdoor, folks. Good job. Good job. Which of the following is a common method used by attackers to compromise chat security through deception? And Tyler should know really good about this one here. Because it's almost in his name, but it's spelled differently. Good job. Yep, it is considered phishing. Yep. Big fish in a small pond, folks. All right, question number 7. In the context of securing a messaging service, MTLS stands for. I think we can all be mutual about this and agree that it is the answer. Yep, that's correct. Good job, guys and gals. All right, question number 8. After securing your chat service, which of the following is the best next step to prevent future intrusions? I'm assuming, Tyler, for yours, it's all of the below. Jordan. Love it. Love it. Yes. Good job, guys. Good job. All right. What type of security threat involves an attacker redirecting communication between two parties without their knowledge? Ooh, Jordan, you might want to type it out. I don't know if the number 2 is the answer here. Because for me, number 2 is ransom. So you might want to type it. Or even just abbreviate it, however you feel. There we go. Yep. Man in the middle. Not man in the mirror, but man in the middle. Awesome. All right. Question number 10. Which of the following? So it's instead of Malcolm in the middle, it's Derek in the middle. Got it. What was the show that I never watched? All right. Question number 10. Which of the following best describes the principle of least privilege in the context of messaging service access controls? Oh, nice. Nice, nice, nice. Oh, let's see. Isaiah. Here we go. Isaiah, I think you should be back in, hopefully. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Provided minimum access. All right. Let me see here. Hold on a second. Question number 10. All right. Let's see. I'll just wait for somebody to type it. Good job, Jordan. The answer with ensure, yes. Yes. So ensuring that users are provided with only the minimum levels of access or permissions needed to perform their job functions. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. All right. All right. All right. Well, looks like that's the end of the lab there, folks. In this exercise, we obviously learned about the various ways that a chat platform can be compromised, highlighting the importance of security in the system, as well as strategies to prevent any type of incident from happening ever again. It's always important to identify the impact of the incident, as well as communicating with your leadership and containing it will always be the top priority, right? So impact of incident, communicating with your leadership, as well as containing it will always be important, right? So this exercise obviously reveals the importance of specific layered security with multiple measures and making sure that it implements it to attempt prevent any type of attack to its vector, right? So some of the key takeaways is the incident response is critical, right? As well as layered security being the essential part, as well as documentation and ongoing cybersecurity, right? I hope that this lab was fairly mutually easy to everybody. Does anybody have any questions? Anything they want to kind of go over really quick? Otherwise, I know you guys are still kind of like catching up, trying to get some rest and such. Um, I want to say, why was today so difficult? You know what? How did I get my Codio in dark mode? Okay, so Tyler, one, why is today so difficult? Because it's Thursday, it's close to Friday, it's baby Friday. That's the way I call it. It's always gonna be tough on Thursdays. Derek, the way I got my Codio in dark mode, I have two add-ins that I use in my browser. I usually use Dark Reader, but it kind of makes Codio really funky. So I use this other one called Midnight Lizard. It's free for Edge and might be uh it's Edge and I think Chrome, so it might work. So it just depends. Michaela, yes, thank you. You're free to go. I mean, we're done with the lab. If you guys have to go, you can go. You don't have to stick around. I'm just here to kind of like answer any questions you may have or may not have. All right. Brianna, so for question 4, the answer being MTLS. Let me see here. Testing your knowledge. Question 4. No, it is actually just TLS. All right, feel better, Jordan. I know that tummy bug tends to be meh, you know. I know it hurts and it kind of sucks. Filippo, thank you so much. Yes, get some rest. For those of you who need your sleep, please get some rest. Y'all need it. I know how that is, and I'm a late midnight person. So trust me on that one here. Make good life decisions. I don't. I'm a parent. I have to make good decisions for my kids, not for myself. You're very welcome, Devin. Thank you so much. You guys feel free to dip out. And then I'm trying to answer questions here. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Okay, so Brianna, no, it wouldn't be MTLS because it's only the initial part. You're only focusing on the one, one way ticket, not the side to side. I hope that makes sense. You're very welcome, Scott. Thank you. Have a good night. Have a good evening. Have a good day, depending on the time of day that you're at. Does that answer your question, Brianna? I hope it does. Awesome. Perfect. Cool. Anybody else? Any other questions? Anything that you guys want to go over? Review any of the other questions that we have answered already? All right. Well, guys, you have pretty much awesome. Thank you, Sabri. Appreciate it. Well, you guys pretty much have about 47 minutes back to you. Use it however you need to, however you want to. Make sure you use your time wisely to finish any of the missing work that you may have or not. Make sure you submit it on time. I know most of us were trying to do catch up on grading. I know Malik kind of did that already. I'm going to be doing it too for any of you who may or may not be part of the Femi and Mind group for the TAs. But again, you guys have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay hydrated for those of you who are on high heats. And as always, stay safe, man. Stay safe. All right.
Matthew, real quick, I had a
Yes,
question.
yeah.
The reviews that we went over, are those like good methods to study for